members of Congress when it comes to Social Security. In fact, you and I had a 30-minute discussion on it just last year. This week, you were pretty passionate during a House Ways and Means Committee hearing on the subject. You introduced a resolution of inquiry into what you called the, quote, hostile takeover of Social Security by President Trump and Elon Musk. And you accused Elon Musk of, quote, taking a wrecking ball to the Social Security Administration. So to start off the conversation, can you talk to us about your concerns?
Absolutely. As you know, Brittany, there's more than 70 million Americans that are on Social Security. And for the most part, people have a tendency to think that Social Security is just pensions, but it's not. It's not only pensions, it's also takes care of spouses, dependents, widows, and also disability. In fact, provides more disability coverage for veterans than the VA. So it is the genius of Franklin Delano Roosevelt that came up with a safety net for entrepreneurialism and capitalism to protect citizens by allowing them to invest. This is not, as Mr. Musk calls it, an entitlement. This is a benefit that people have paid for. And all one has to do is look on their pay stub to find that out. And on that pay stub, it says FICA. That stands for Federal Insurance Contribution. Whose? Yours. And so it is not an entitlement. This is an insurance plan that has been paid for and entrusted with the government so it can give you a return in your retirement, or if needed before then, in the case of death, for spousal or dependent coverage or disability, all of which has made it the number one insurance plan for the program. And by that, I mean this: it's the number one anti-poverty program for the elderly of this nation and the number one anti-poverty program for children of this country. And so to go in there with a wrecking ball, with the idea that they are going to dismiss and close regional offices and fire people, including inspector generals, is just absurd. And even more absurd is, if you're doing that, you have a responsibility to come before Congress and explain what you're up to, why you need access to these private documents, and what is your goal and what is your intent here. And of course, as you know, Mr. Musk now has been on TV several times, just last weekend calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme, and the president calling it a scam. And the Republicans in the committee keep on saying, oh no, President Trump isn't going to touch Social Security. They're not going to be doing anything doing it. In the middle of the hearing yesterday, the Doge came out saying they're going to stop and they're going to try to eliminate the use of phoning into agencies. They're out to dismantle the Social Security Administration. And there's a responsibility here, first and foremost, on the Republicans in Congress to call a hearing on this, as we have requested and asked for, and to bring them before the Congress in a public hearing under oath and answer that what they need this information for and what their goals are here. And if, as our colleagues claim, they're not there to privatize it, well, then let's put them under oath and have them swear to it, because that's not what they've said on TV.
I know older people. I mean, personally, my grandfather didn't have the internet. He didn't have a smartphone, so he would just have to use the phone. And I know he's not the only senior citizen in that boat, where there would be older people who rely on the phone. So that's one issue. Another issue is You're asking where's Elon Musk. There was a viral moment of you in this House Ways and Means Committee asking where's Elon Musk. You said he's going to privatize Social Security. He's calling it an entitlement. In our conversation last year on the House floor many times, you have said Social Security is not an entitlement, it's an earned benefit. So talk to us about why you were just so passionate in that hearing.
Well, because first and foremost, 70 million Americans rely on Social Security. Now, of those 70 million, 40% of those, Social Security is the only thing they have. Who do they have speaking for them in the United States Congress? Who will speak out on their behalf as this administration seeks to go out and disassemble the Social Security Administration? In doing so, weaken it, prevent people from having access and getting timely service, and then arrive at the conclusion that, well, Social Security isn't working, so we're going to have to privatize it. So they're saying that's not our intent. Well, they're saying, well, then fine, if that's not your intent, you have no problem then coming before the committee and answering questions under oath. And what riled me the most, of course, were the empty seats that were there. That somehow Elon Musk, because he's a billionaire, is above the law and doesn't have to answer to the United States Congress or the American people. That's flat out wrong. And I think every American citizen knows it as well. And there's no special protection that the president can provide him from actually coming before Congress and telling the truth about his intent.
During that hearing, you accused Republicans to their faces of doing whatever Elon Musk and President Trump want them to do. I'm curious, in your private conversations, do they share your concerns about Social Security, about Elon Musk, about Doge? Because in my conversations with Republican lawmakers, when I say, hey, is Social Security on the chopping block? You keep publicly saying no, but is it? They're saying things like, let Elon Musk look into it and see what happens. But Social Security will be saved. There's just a lot of fraud there.
They've been told not to say anything. And so they're claiming that, well, what's wrong about looking for fraud, abuse, and waste? There's nothing wrong with that. No Democrat has said there is. In fact, if there is fraud, abuse, or waste, we'll join with them in finding it and routing it out because there's no place for it in government. But that's not the issue here. They're claiming that that's what their goal is. And our response is, if that's your goal, don't you think the American public and certainly the fourth estate and the media would be interested in it as well? And so why is there this great secret? Well, could it be because you're not telling the truth? As Rich Neal said yesterday, can we at least agree that no one 350 years old is receiving a Social Security check? And it was ironic, but meant to be so because of the absurdity and how much pushback they've gotten on their misinformation. And then Elon Musk was on TV saying, oh, yeah, Social Security is the plan in which Democrats use to entice illegal immigrants into the country with the promise that they're going to give them Social Security. Again, a bold-faced lie that if he believes that and has proof, well, by all means, let's put him under oath and have that. And let's see the facts that he has to substantiate it. Because so far, they've made an awful lot of outlandish claims that are not backed by facts. And that's substantiated by the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, many media outlets, and even the acting commissioner that was hand appointed by Donald Trump has said, this is not true. And Doge does not understand what it's doing to the operation. I think they do understand. Their goal isn't fraud, abuse, or waste. Their goal is to dismantle it and privatize it and say it doesn't work and say it's ineffective, tell the big lie, and then say to the American people, that's why we need to privatize it.